Okay, so now we know how to work with geometry, basic shapes, squares and circles, nothing else than that. And we work with masses, with solid forms, void forms, and then we can assign materials or walls. By the way, it doesn't work. Remember that we apply massing inside. It doesn't work with roofs. Okay, so if we select this and we create roof, it doesn't work. Okay, so you have to do it. It's a dome, but for some reason, you can't do it with, you have to use walls. Okay, so if you use the massing inside a wall, if you work with walls, it does what you want to do, but it doesn't work with roofs or floors. Okay, so if you have a mass, a dome, and you want to turn it into a solid element, it's a roof. So the first thing you think is that it should be a roof. It's not, it's a wall. But okay, not going to work with this now. I'm going to delete. And okay. Okay, so let's work with this. Here we have the, basically it's the same thing we have done here. We have the square, it's 18 by 18. Okay, so we have the square between these two grid lines, 18 by 18. And then we have created this 3 reference planes. So we're going to use the same elements, but we are going to try to understand the geometry behind this. The model, it's a circle. We're not going to work with the indentives. We're going just to focus on the dome itself. We don't have a lantern here, so this is a, or do we have a lantern? No, we don't. So this is just a circle. Okay, so we have a circle here, and then we have another circle here, and then we have to create all these lines with a shape there and another shape there. Okay, so that's the challenge. Can we look at the section of this dome? Nope, we don't have a section. Yeah, I told you that this building, it's not the most important building, and we don't have a lot of documents. We have pictures of the building after, so I think they did a good job refurbishing it, but we don't have digital documents of the building. Okay, it's a half sphere. It's not a, because other domes are like okay, so yeah, so this is an spherical dome, but some other domes like this one, the famous dome in Florence, it's not a sphere, it's not a circle, it's a pointed. Okay, but in this case it's a sphere. If we saw a section, we would realize that that dome has the shape. Okay, so we're not going to work with the tram. We're going to work with this circle here, and then another circle there, and then we will create all these curves with these elements. So we're going to use this as a base. Okay, and well, first I'm on level 0. I'm going to model a line, just a diagonal, to have a reference point to snap when we are creating the circles. So the first circle is gonna be line circle. So the first circle is going to be this one, and the second, it's going to be this one here. Okay. So that's the, if we look at the model, look at the dome. Okay, so we can see that we have the first and then the second one. Now, on the 3D view, we don't have anything solid here. We just have the two circles. So first thing, we need to create like a sphere, like a shape there. Okay. And then we're going to create a void because, well, after analyzing this, these curves are the intersection between the sphere and the cylinder. I'll show you. And the sphere is going to be this one, and the cylinder is a circle that has this diameter. Okay, so let's create this basic shape here because it has to be this. Okay, so this is it. We have the first circle, this is the second circle, and this is the cylinder. So if this is a sphere and this is a cylinder, this curve, the intersection between the sphere and the cylinder, is the curve that we're going to use to create that swept blend. Okay, so let's cancel. But this is the basic geometry behind all these complicated shapes. And then we will create one element, and then we will repeat it many times to complete the circle. But the basic shape is this one: first circle, second circle, and this is going to be a cylinder, and we're going to create an intersection between the sphere and that one. Okay. If this is the basic shape, the first thing we have to do is to create a mass with this model line. So we are going to create massing inside, in place mass, make sure that we are on level 0. We are on level 0. And then we select select this, select the circle, create a solid form, and we have to select the sphere like this. Okay. We have to remove the half the sphere that we don't want. So it's just another rectangle here. Go to the 3D, select, create a void, move it down, make sure that okay, and then finish mass, and we have created the sphere. Now, the second mass that we have to create is a cylinder with this base. So let's do it. It's massing inside, in place, okay, set, make sure that we're on level 0, pick the circle that we have created, and let me see if it works. I'm going to create a void form. Okay, so if I create a void form, now I have to select either a sphere or a cylinder. I'm creating a cylinder, and I move it up because I want to make sure that there's an intersection between the sphere and the cylinder. Does it work? When we finish, it doesn't work, we have to cut. So let me see if creating this, I select this, and it doesn't work. Okay, good. Probably you would, yes. Because we have to select this, edit, and then create the void. Okay, so let's do that. Select the sphere, edit in place, and now we have to pick the circle, and now we can create a void form. And now it works. You see how we have the intersection here, but we need to move it up. Okay, so we have to make sure that this cylinder is higher than the sphere itself. And then we finish the mass and we have this intersection. So that's it. When after it takes a couple of minutes, it took me months to figure out how to do that back in 2000. And now it's something that we can do in a couple of minutes. But first you need to know the basic geometry behind this. So we have the sphere, then we have a cylinder, and then there's an intersection between the sphere and the cylinder itself. Okay. So now we can use the architecture model in place and that new command. So I'm going to show you how to work with that command. So it's architecture, component, model in place. Now we have to select what? Ceiling, a column, a column. And we have to select this one, the solid swept blend. Okay. So here, this is the command. This is new. I haven't explained that before. So we can either sketch a path or we can pick a path. We have created this so that we don't have to sketch it. We can pick it. So pick path. And you see that now we can select this one. Okay, so we have three. It's not a path, so we cannot go from this point up to that point. But I think it's even better because by doing this, we can understand what we're doing. And I think it's easier to explain. So I'm going to select this path, then I'm going to select this one, and finally I'm going to select that one. So this is the path I'm going to select first. So if I do this, you see that here we have two reference planes, and this is where the shape, because we need to create a shape and then we need to select the path so that the shape here is different than the shape there. Okay. And these are the planes because those planes have to be perpendicular to this line. That's difficult because this line, it's curved and it's spatial. It's not a flat curve. Okay, so Revit knows that this is the perpendicular plane in which we have to sketch the shape. So this is the first shape, this is the second shape, and then there will be a transition between the first one, the second one, through this path that, again, I insist, is not flat. It's not in the plane, it's in the space. Okay, so it's quite difficult doing this without Revit, but they did it. They didn't have Revit here, and they did all that stuff. Okay, in 300 years ago. So now, once we have selected the path, we click finish, and now we can select profile 1 and profile 2. Okay, so select profile 1. We need a profile at the beginning and another one at the end. So select profile 1, and we can either draw something. I'm not going to do it because I want to make it faster. And here, profiles, we have some options. Okay, we have limited options, but let's select one of those options. I'm going to select circular handrail at the beginning. So I'm going to select this to see what happens. And now we have to find out where the first the profile one is. It can be either here or there. I don't think it's here. I think it's there. Yes. You see that there's a circle here. So I want to make it even more radical. So I'm going to select two different shapes, not just two circles with different diameters, to complete different shapes. So if I select here this one, fascia flat 19, this one, okay, there you go. So you have a rectangle here, and that was profile one. And then in profile two, I want to select the circle, so I can select the circular handrail here. And now I have a circle, see, here. So I have picked a path. I have selected profile one and profile two different shapes. This is a rectangle. This is a circle. And if I do this, see what happens. Yep. Okay, so you see that we have a shape. It starts as a rectangle here, and it ends as a circle there. Amazing. And now we can finish the model. There you go. Okay, this shape is not just a rectangle, and it's a well, you have to so probably it's something like that. Okay, so you need to know the shape that generates this, and yeah, so it has all these baroque. Okay, so it's just a question of defining this shape with the right it's always combining curves and squares and another curve and another square. Okay, so you have to draw that shape, and it's something we can do if we now edit in place. We can edit this, and we can edit the profile. Okay, so if we select this, we can edit this shape, and we'll do it. Okay, but let's keep it simple. It's just a question of selecting this, edit the shape, and then we can edit this rectangle and make something more complicated, or edit this circle and draw something more complicated. But it's just a question of finding the original shape, and then we can use the swept blend from this shape to a different one through the same path. But if first you have to understand the geometry, and if you don't understand at the beginning that this is the intersection between a sphere and a cylinder, it's impossible. Once you understand this, and you can do that in Revit very easily, now we can keep working on this. So we have created that this it's not the complete path, it's just 1/4 of this circle. You see that this shape is different than this one. So if we want to continue from here to here, I think that was the other path. We can just go from this shape. This is I think it was a circle 4 inches. So the first and the second sketch should be the same. Okay, so we are going to do this. Let's go back to the 3D view. Architecture, component, model in place. Be consistent. If you have selected columns, select the same element again. And we select swept blend. pick path. So now we have to pick this one, okay? And finally, we will pick that one. So select the path, click OK. And now profile one, it has to be the same shape we selected before. It's the handrail 40 and the handrail 40. Well, again, this is my Spanish computer and everything is in millimeters. You can use whatever shape you have in your computer, but making sure that they are consistent. Okay, so this shape, the shape that you have selected for the first path has to be the same that you have selected for the second. Okay, so let's select the handrail here. This is profile one, profile two, we can use the same one. And we click OK, and there you go, and finish. And why isn't there? Oh, it is. Okay, so we see this shape and that shape. Okay, so we have created this first, this one second, and now we need the third path. So let's do it again. Architecture, component, model in place, columns, swept, pick path, this. And now we have to select the circle 40. It's not inches, it's millimeters, but anyway, the same circle we have selected here. And now we have to select the same rectangle that we have selected there. So, and I don't know if this is profile one. Let's find out. If I select profile one and I select the circle with 40, is it here or there? It's here. Okay, so that's good. And then the profile two, it's this flat 19 by 89. So the rectangle is there now. I click OK, and there you go. And finish. Okay. Now we have three different elements, but that's fine. I'm going to hide the original mass. You go. And if I select everything and create a group, okay, so now I can select everything at the same time. Okay, so I have the basic shape here. It comes from the intersection between a sphere and a cylinder. I have used the mass modeling to do this. And then I'm not using masses anymore. I have selected the architecture component model in place to create this, where is it? Okay. Oh, I have to create the group again. So I have created the model in place, the swept blend with different shapes here and there, but now everything is continuous. So the final shape here is the same or profile one here is the same as profile two there, so that there's a good match between these two elements. Okay, what's next? We have to repeat this, and by repeating this many times, we will find this. This is not a square because it's curved. Okay, so I have created now one of these shapes all this way like this, and now rotating and repeating this, I will have all of them, and I will have these nice not squares because they are curved and they don't have the same dimension all their sides. So how do you call this geometric element? I don't know. But if I go to the top view, from the top view, it's a circle, okay? But it's not a circle at all. It has this sharp angle here, okay? But from the top view, it looks like a circle. So now I select this one. And what tool would I use? I would use array, create an array because interesting. Can we do it in different view? If I use this, can I do the array? No. Let me try to do it without the group. Oh, now I know what's going on. Let me try this. I'm going to create a group. And now on this level, I want to hide the mass. And now can I create the array? No. Yeah. So if I select this, can I create the array now? Reference, okay. Okay, now I can do it. For some reason, if I group the elements, then I can't create the array. Okay, that's fine. Just hide in view the mass, hide everything that it's not related to the shape. Okay, so we're going to select this element again. And if we go to this level, now we have to copy this with that array. And the first thing we have to do is to place the center point. What's the center point of this circular array? Well, first, this is not linear, it's a radial array. So select radial. Now place the center of rotation. And the center of rotation is the center of the tiny circle that we have here. So that's the center of rotation. We can select the number of elements, for example, 4. Well, I'm going to select more, 8, just to see what happens. And this is the first point of the angle, and this is the second point. So we are going to repeat this this way. Okay. And now on the 3D view, you see that we have these elements here. Okay, so we have created those shapes, and from the top view, they look like this. Well, here we have fewer elements, so that way we have clearer squares, but we have the same shape. We have created the same square with curved sides, and each side is different because the shape is changing along the path that we have here. Okay. Once we have this, we can select everything. I don't know if now we can group. I don't want the lines, but can I group it now? Okay. And can I create the array now? Apparently, now we can create an array with all these complicated elements. So I create this one. I place the center of rotation. Say, okay, select the group, create array, place the center of rotation, the same place here. And I just want 2 from this point. Okay, 3 from this point to that point. Okay, so you see that this is getting more complicated. But we are on our way to create this. There are a lot of elements here, so probably more than it was necessary. So we have to count how many elements we are doing. But well, that's the way to do it. If I think it's better if we work with the first one. On level 36, we create the, okay, we create the first radial array. We place the center here. And now if we move 180 degrees, it's just a question of how many elements we need. Let's say that we need 9. And we move it here. Okay, probably that's better. There's a problem with the view, so because the elements are there, but sometimes they don't show up. Okay, but the elements are there. Yeah, so there's something hiding there. I don't know why. But okay, the elements, they continue and all the elements are there. And once we have those, we only have to mirror. So yeah, the problem is that, well, we have to select everything. And if we mirror, yeah, that's it. Okay, some of the elements are missing. They are there, but there is something wrong with the visibility graphics. Okay, so all the elements are there, but some of them don't show up in some of the views. I don't know why, but they are there. Okay, and I think this is the right. Yeah, apparently there's like 9 elements from in 180 degrees and 18 elements in 360. Anyway, this is the shape. So imagine that all the elements are okay. I don't know why these don't show up, but we have this circle here without any lines, and then we have the other circle, and then we have that square, the same thing we have here. Okay, so that's why we have created a tiny circle, so that all these lines are tangent to this circle. Yeah, so here I think we can see most of them. So it's quite easy once you have figured out the geometry behind all these complicated shapes. And it's just something as simple as intersecting uh, a sphere and a cylinder. So once you have that intersection, you have the path, and then you only have to work with the right sketch at the beginning, the right sketch at the end, and then selecting all the paths, and yeah, that's it. Is it likely that you are going to build something like that? Well, I don't know, maybe. I saw some of the capstone projects, and one of the groups, they were trying to do a dome like this. It's a dome back dome. Okay, so yeah, well, this guy, Mr. Buckminster Fuller, American architect, he patented this kind of domes. Okay, so now that you have steel and glass, you can create domes like this. So this guy patented a way to build spherical domes out of steel or aluminum and glass. So it's cool, but again, how can you do it? Well, you need a pattern, you need to understand the geometry, and once you have done this, then you can build the rest of the dome. So this can be one of the patterns, and then if you have this in 3D, you can select this element, you can measure this element, someone can manufacture it, and then by repeating this element many times, you end up having all these nerves that okay, so these are the structural elements. And if you look at this is something similar. These are pendentives, okay? So these are steel pendentives, but the geometry behind this is the same. We have a sphere, and then we have cut this in different places, and the result is, and now instead of having something solid, we have trusses. But I think now we are in, we could do this if we want to, okay? Because we know how to do it. It's just working with masses, um, working with void elements, and then we can work with Revit families, and then we can create a Revit family, the same thing we did with the curtain wall, and then we can create a truss like this, and then adapt the truss to the mass. And here we have different patterns, okay? But something that seems quite complicated, how can I do that? Working with Revit, it's possible. Probably the geometry behind this is not as complicated as this one, because here all the triangles are the same. They are not shrinking the triangles, or here they are not shrinking the hexagons. Okay, so probably to do this, they could use something different. They could use uh, a sphere. Okay, so we can always work with massing, in place mass, a circle here. Then we can create a solid form sphere. Okay, and once we select this, we can divide the surface, and we can divide surface with different patterns. We can use this pattern, or we can use triangles, or we can use hexagons. Okay, and once we have a pattern that we like, like this, we can create a family. Remember that we can go to new family, and then it's a question of working with the, I think the curtain wall panel pattern base. This is the right one, but here we have to use the same pattern. If we select this, we have to match. If we have used the triangle bent, we have to match this, and now we can create a family here. And then whatever we do with this mass, let's do something very quick. So let's set this here. We're going to work with the circle. Now we're going to create a solid form. No. The shape in this, create a solid form. Okay. If we load it into the project, and if we select, well, it's not this one, this mass, now in this triangle bend, we have family one, and we can make it. Okay. So this is even easier because we don't even have to understand the geometry behind that. If we found a pattern like this, probably there's a different way to do this with Revit. We can create the sphere, then we can find the pattern, and then we can create a family, and then we can adapt this. If we don't have this pattern, then we have to do it from scratch. But if we find the pattern we want in Revit, we can do it with families. But the key here is that if we are using a pattern, which we have to select this, and we have to make sure that the pattern that we are working with is the same pattern that we have selected for for the mass that we are using in the main model. Okay, if we are working in this family with a square pattern, then we can't fit this into this geometry. We need to divide this into a square pattern, and then we can fit a square family into a square pattern, but not the other way around. Okay. So that's it. I like this better because with this option, you don't know what you're doing. It's very convenient, it's very fast, but maybe I'm old-fashioned and I like to understand geometry behind the shapes that I want to do instead of let letting Revit decide whatever it feels like. But anyway, mm, either way is acceptable. And well, this is even more convenient because here you can create a real curtain wall. Well, it's not matching because I haven't decided the right size for this element. Anyway, we can work with this or this way.